Week 16 of 50 tilt issues. Everyone who has signed up for $4.22 a month or more at patreon.com/DGAF poker player got a lead up to this episode yesterday. It just showed up for them on the Patreon app and wherever they listen to podcasts. Important announcement. You can now listen to every drop of sessions on Spotify and or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Just go to Patreon, copy your personal RSS feed, then paste it wherever you want to listen. Lead-ups are private drops of sessions in which I share everything that goes on in my life when I'm not at the poker table. They are typically much more intimate than the public drops of sessions. And according to hundreds of patrons, many of them have been listening to this podcast since 2018, lead-ups are the best mental escapes available in audio form. Perfect for commutes, workouts, walks, or just trying to fall asleep after a busy day. If you too want the real shit, all you gotta do is commit to 422 at patreon.com/DGAF poker player. But wait, there's more. For that $4.22 a month, less than one big blind for most of you, you also get access to all 8 seasons of sessions. And at that point, you will never be left with nothing to listen to again. You don't have to listen to every drop of sessions to get caught up in the story. You can simply pick and choose the titles that look interesting to you, and that should do the trick. But wait, sound guy, there's even more. Including, you wrote that wrong. Included in that $4.22 a month, less than 1 gallon of gas in California, you also get membership to Patron Discord. That's the platform where listeners from all over the world go to have discussions and share their stories. So if you're a Patron and you're on Patron Discord, send me one of your posts. Send it to dgafpokerplayer@gmail.com and I'll read it on this podcast. Do not be shy. I won't use your real name. I'll use your screen name, so no one will ever know who actually wrote it. Patron Discord is also where patrons play poker together. The Patron Poker Club has been revamped, and there is rate to pay for the app, and then everything left over goes towards putting patrons in World Series of Poker events. It's a absolute nonprofit endeavor. Patron Discord is also where many patrons bet sports together with no vig. That's huge. And some buy pieces of me when I play poker with no markup. And that used to be huge, but now it's buyer beware. At least lately it is. Anyways, you can check out all the details of all the perks that come with each subscription tier at patreon.com/DGAF poker player. All right, we did that in under 5 minutes, including the song. So under 3 minutes. Sound guy. He's not even awake. Anyways, last the patrons heard, it was Monday, April 21st, 2025. I had just recapped the previous week in my life away from the tables, and I said I was going to nap, work more, take a walk, go to dinner, and then play Lucky Lady Casino Live. And I did all that. When I went to take a nap, I felt this sort of hyper vertigo. And this is very common for me these days and for a while now, where I've been multitasking so much, looking at my phone so much, texting so quickly, writing so quickly on my laptop, and so on, that when I lay down to take a nap and close my eyes, every single time it feels like there's an earthquake. And that's probably not super healthy. It's a little bit alarming, if not scary. And I had a pretty weird, perhaps dark thought before I fell asleep. And I'm going to talk about that in next week's lead up. But yeah, I didn't die or anything. I got up and, took my walk, and then I was going to go to dinner with Miss Scorsese, but it's really hard to get whales to play poker at 10 p.m. And that's one of the restrictions we have on Lucky Lady Casino Live. A lot of them have been lifted. We are now allowed to have RFID. if and when we can afford it. We can have a commentator. We can do pretty much anything production-wise. We just can't go live when Hustler Casino Live is on or on their normal schedule. So that's pretty cool, having way less restrictions than before. But it's still really hard to get whales to play poker at 10 p.m. So I asked Aaron Queskin if he and his wife wanted to go to dinner with us. Smart, right? This guy, I don't know if he's a whale. He always wins, it seems like. If you follow him on X, he wins just about every single session. He's always in for 800 and has 4,000 and some chapstick. This is a good friend of mine, but only because he's a huge whale. So we were going to go to a yakitori spot, but he wanted sushi. Yeah, it makes sense. The ocean, right? Whales want sushi. They don't want fucking yakitori. I said, okay, let's go to sushi with you and your wife. Got this really good spot nearby. Well, I really want to go to this one. You sure? Yeah. Okay, we'll try that one out. Well, the one he really wanted to go to doesn't have good fish. Well, not even close to the quality of the one that I was going to have us go to. But, it's hard to get whales to play poker at 10 p.m. Host going to host. And I know that this guy's going to fight me for the tab when it comes. So I have Miss Scorsese sneak off and give the DGAF LLC credit card to our waitress. There are many DGAF LLC credit cards. I don't even want to think about the total balance. But anyways, a lot of it's a write-off. In case you're listening, IRS, see, I am entertaining clients. I'm feeding, a whale and his family. And I say family not only because was Aaron's lovely wife there. We love her. She's not a whale. We just love her. She's Irish. She's fucking awesome. He's a whale. That's why we tolerate him. But he started ordering to-go food for his son. In his defense, he didn't know we had picked up the tab already. So that was a little sting at the table. Oh, you're getting to-go food too? And we already gave the fucking waitress our credit card? Well played. But it was just pure luck on his behalf because he didn't think we were paying for it. And I think an important note, when we walked in a few minutes late to dinner, he said, what happened to your head? I said, what do you mean? Is there a knot on my head? He said, yeah. And I said, oh, that's my stress knot. So when I was a kid, I had plenty of concussions. I hit my head very often. If I shaved my head completely, you would see a lot of scars. I took a baseball bat to the head. That wasn't that fun. Went to the ER for that. And anyways, I don't know. On my forehead, most of the time it looks fairly smooth, especially for a 51-year-old man. Not that bad. But when I'm stressed or tired or a combination of both, you can see a knot on, I believe, the right side of my forehead. And I knew what he was talking about right away. And you might be asking, why are you so stressed out? I'm too busy. I'm just doing too much stuff, as I alluded to, or referenced when I was talking about that weird sort of vertigo I get when I lay down. I'm also cycling. What does that mean? It means I'm a human being. And something I learned from my good friend, Dr. David Neymark, is we all have a cycle. And some of you have very flat cycles. You don't get too high, you don't get too low. That seems ideal. Then people with severe mental illnesses, they go all the way up and all the way down. My cycle is somewhere in between. I don't have a severe mental illness, but I don't have a very flat cycle either. And I know it's just my time to cycle down a bit mentally. Sometimes it's just your time. Sometimes there are triggers in your life that'll send you down. I don't know if there are at this point. I'm too busy to even know if something has triggered me down or if it's just my time. Either way, I'm cycling, which when I'm cycling, my content's not going to be as good. My poker playing won't be as good. My commentary won't be as good. I'm not going to sleep as well, and so on. And so that's the story on this Monday evening. And when I realize it, just, at the table after he points out that the knot, my stress knot is out, while having, discussion and eating, I think, wait, why am I so stressed? Well, my poker results have been atrocious for over a year. Last year was my second losing year ever. And I've been playing poker I think I started tracking my results in like 2000. And I know I didn't lose before that either. So last year was my second losing year ever. I didn't get a ton of volume in. My first ever losing year was 2017. I actually went busto in 2011, but I had a winning year. I just had like a normal grinder winning year, but I was spending like, a pro athlete. And that's not a good combination. 2017, I barely lost, put in a lot of volume. Not only did I never think that I could have a losing year, I would have bet anyone any amount I never would. And then it happened. Well, last year, 2024, I had my second losing year, didn't have nearly the volume. So obviously, as you reduce the sample size, you increase the variance, the possibility of having a losing year. But either way, it's just been too long since I've run even decent. And there are very few people. I'll just go ahead and say there's nobody that can play how they want to play when they're up against it every hand. Every hand, they're trying to figure out if they're dead, if they can get someone to fold, if they can manufacture a pot against a weak range and someone who's not going to stack off with their holding, and so on. Now, the flip side of that is where you're like, oh, how can I get value here? And I remember that. If I dig deep in my memory, I remember those times. I had plenty of them on Hustler Casino Live, like, oh, I just got check raised right now and I have the nuts. This is fun. This is a warm, relaxing feeling. Well, I haven't had it for over a year. That's stressful, especially because I'm backed. I don't like losing other people's money. Overall, I've made the backers a lot of money, but not all of them were around for that part. And either way, it's just been too long since their money has, grown. It's gone the other way. And we're approaching a reload. And that shit wears on me. It doesn't wear on me as much as debt wears on me. That weighs on me the most. But outside of poker, everything in my professional life is going pretty well lately. I'm back commentating. I finally feel like I've knocked the rust off ahead of the $1 million game. I was totally in the zone a couple Tuesdays ago when Jeremy went on tilt and Clifford came out. I was pretty in the zone the time after that, and that's good. And I've got my contract settled for Lucky Lady Casino Live. That's good. And I got some amazing people working for me, contractors. And I've resolved some things that were weighing on me in my professional life. And that's going well outside of poker. But I have some personal things weighing on me. But don't we all? Anyways, the point is, Monday, April 21st, was not a great mental health day. Who gives a shit? Every time we have a bad mental health day, we stress out about, or I do. That's secondary anxiety. Fuck it. Everyone has them. Good days and bad days. You forget about the good days the moment you have a bad day. And the less you can worry about having a bad day, the better. And it doesn't matter. I've played poker in this condition a million times. What matters is that I'm so busy, I tilt too easy. And I talked a lot about my tilt issues in the lead up, and that's why this week is called Tilt Issues. I can be incredibly productive all day. I'll take my vertigo nap. I'll just power through. I have patience for cancellations when I'm building lineups, or if a director cancels last minute. I have patience for all of that stuff. And I even if I feel myself start to get triggered, I just breathe and get through it quickly. I just don't have any patience for running bad in poker. And that's problematic. And step one is identifying it. It's not that easy to have insight in your shit. Well, if you have a podcast where you just share everything unabashed, it's easier. Step two is acknowledging it and owning it. And that's where I'm at. I know I have fucking brutal tilt issues. And it's like you're not fully out of control. You don't, punch anyone. But you're a little bit out of control emotionally. And that's not great for poker, obviously. Still not the end of the world. People go on tilt and win the money all the time. But for me, it sets me back at least 2 days every time I go to that dark place of full-blown tilt. And, it's extremely common in poker players. They talk about it in one of the opening scenes of Rounders. And it never was part of my career for decades. People would say, what's your deal, man? Do you not have any emotions? Like, you don't ever tilt. And I don't know, I was just mentally tough. And I also had a balanced life. I mean, not like super healthy one, but I had downtime. I watched shows. I went DJing, for a full day. I wasn't checking my phone every fucking 3 seconds. I wasn't in charge of a bunch of shit. I didn't have, a handful of jobs, careers. But I do now, and I've played so much poker now, and I have so much poker PTSD at this point that I have tilt issues, and I have to fucking own it. And I have to try and manage it. And that's the story leading into this session, and I'll take a sip of water and tell you about this session. Really hard to get big games going in general and late at night. It was easier when I was, building them on Hustler Casino Live because everyone wants to, be on the big stage and on the incredible YouTube channel with 5K people watching concurrently. That was easier. And it was also daytime. So the best I can do on this night is organize a 5-5 bounty game, $15 bounty game. The good thing about that's as big as I can go to build a game on this night. But the good thing about that is that it's going to play huge because the players that like playing with me give action. And the players I'll even text give action. So we start off 5-5. Well, of course, everyone's going to straddle. So it's really 5-5-10. $15 golden bounty. If you win 2 hands in a row, everyone pays you $15. But if you win a hand from the small blind, then every hand you win after that, they give you $30. And there are some real action drivers at the table. I'm one of them. Yeah. Gregorius Gabe is another one. And the $100 straddle is about average on this night. So we're playing 5,100. Fuck what it says, in the lineup text. We're playing 5,100. The big blind's 100. Sometimes it's 200. Sometimes it's 400. Sometimes it's only 10 or 20, but it's 100. We're playing 5,100. It's a crazy game because when you take 2K stacks and you play 5,100, that's 20 big blinds. And everyone knows to get it in light. And there's nothing really for me to report for a little while. And I lost a sizable pot with ace-9 against ace-3. Whatever, that happens. And then my next note that I wrote on my phone is pink stink. Pink stink. Stink up the place. What does that mean? Pink, pterodactyl king on the YouTube, is a very funny dude, very good dude from Chicago. And he likes to flip with me while I'm playing because we're live. And the chat's right there on the walls, 2 big TVs on the wall. And he likes to flip with me while I'm playing. And it's been fun. We've done it a lot. And I've probably gotten the best of him overall. I think I have. And one time, I don't know if we set the YouTube wrong, but there was a slight delay. And I said, okay, this one's on. And then it came out and I won. And then his chat said, no, it's off. But he had typed that before. So it was innocent and it was fine. But I of course, called him a scammer just as a joke. And he was like, dude, people don't know you're joking. And I said, that's okay. It's kind of funny. He said, no, it's not. Well, he came in here and he hit and ran me for $250. This motherfucker. He won. And we did a series of 3 flops. And I said, okay, now let's do them for 500 or whatever. He said, nope, I'm going to take my win. And he's just having fun with it. And so I Venmo'd him $250 and called him a scammer again and whatever else. Okay. The next note, pocket 8s. I lost the pocket 10s, pretty automatic hand given the shallow chip stacks. And then I was all in with ace-4 in a spot where I felt like the money should go in. Aaron Queskin didn't say what he had, didn't show his cards, but said he had pocket jacks and an ace came on both boards. He probably had pocket jacks. So I ran hot there. And now Aaron is saying he's going to go home. This is stupid. I'm already down 2K. I'm going to go home. And this is my friend. He's not actually a whale. That was a joke in case you didn't pick up on that. But this is someone who has a much easier life than I do. This guy's going to fucking Stagecoach, whatever that is. I think it's like Coachella, but country music. He's always traveling. He owns restaurants, a bunch of residences. And he runs way fucking hotter than I do in poker. And this should not tilt me. It's just, he's irritated that he's down 2K. He doesn't like the game to be out of control. That's fair. But this, and this shouldn't tilt me. But that's not the story. The story is when he's just a couple seats over and he's run so hot in the times I play with him compared to what I've run, and he's complaining, and I'm thinking he's going, like this weekend he's going to Stagecoach. I'm like, oh, I'm doing 9 jobs, and which is, I dug myself the hole that I'm in, that I've been in for 8 years. I did it. But anyways, the story is I wanted to bite a fucking hole in the table when he was complaining. That's tilt issues. Whatever. I got the pot. I'm winning. The ace-4 won on 2 boards. Was not a huge pot, but big enough. And then I'm the super straddle, and it limps in. They limp in, and I check my option. I flop top pair, and I lose a sizable pot to top pair a better kicker. That's pretty automatic in these games. Top pair is a monster. I used to say top pair is a monster in LA. In Vegas, you're always up against a set. It's kind of true, and especially true in the Gold Room at Larry Flint's Lucky Lady Casino. Top pair is a monster. Well, when you're outkicked, it's kind of a cooler, especially when there's so much in pre. So now I'm losing. And, the thing about poker is when you've been on a long downswing, one easy session can change everything. And I had one of those recently, but it was a smaller game. I think I won $3K. But one easy session where you win 5 figures can change everything. And so when you get up a little bit, you think maybe this is it. And I guess that's called gambler's mentality. And then you get a quasi cooler and you're losing. That's a little bit tilting. And something that every fucking poker player in the world does is after they lose a pot, when they are visibly tilted, they go all in with a good hand and make it look like they're punting. And that's what I did with Ace, King of Hearts. Gregorius Gabe was all in there for less with 5-4 suited. And Suited Superman, who was an aggressor before I jammed, called it off with King Queen offsuit. It's pretty understandable. It's a really good situation for me. We're going to run it twice. I maybe sent a little over $3K in there. Suited had me covered, and I don't know what Gabe put in, 1,000, 1,500, something like that. And we're going to run it twice. And so there's, 11K in there or something. No, 7K or something in there. And Suited scoops. King Queen offsuit beats Ace King of Hearts on both. And I think the odds of that happening are about 6%. Okay, well, 6% happens 6 out of 100 times. But when it happens to you way more frequently than that, and you have the tilt issues that I do, the flip is switched. Rage tilt. And I think I was stuck around 4K. And now I'm back to feeling cursed. I had that one nice pot against Aaron, but it was much smaller than this, with the Ace-4. And now I'm stuck about 4K, and my first instinct is to leave. Nothing is going to go right for me. That's fucking recency bias combined with confirmation bias. I should just leave, try and get some rest, and just give it another shot soon. But I'm not a quitter. And that would be pretty weird to leave my own stream, a couple hours in. So I rebuy for 2K, and I look over, and Aaron Kweskin is now winning and having a good old time. And I want him to win. I want everyone to win. But now his complaining earlier is grating on me from the past. And then I get bluffed by Gregorius Gabe. It's a bloater, as they all are, and I have 10x on 10-4 deuce. And he bet 300, and I checked min raised. I just liked it in the moment. And he called, and when he did, I was ready to go with my top pair. I was pretty damn sure that Gregorius Gabe was light. He was the pre-flop aggressor, and he kind of continuation bet on 10-4 deuce. And I checked min raised, and so he's going to call with his entire range, which is fine by me. The turn is a jack, putting 2 clubs out there. And now I feign weakness. I'm not scared of this fucking jack. If you have a jack somehow, God bless your soul. You're getting all my chips. So I check, like maybe I was just goofing around on the flop with the check min raise. And I'm hoping he goes all in, and I'm going to snap my fingers and point to the dealer and say, call. But he checks back. Okay, so that's fine too, because now on the river, if I get a brick on the river, I can make it look like a bluff. And then it's a spot where someone would bluff, and now maybe he might call really light. Well, the river is a shit card. It's the queen of clubs. So it was 10-4 deuce, rainbow 1 club. I checked min raise to 600. Turns the jack of clubs. I checked hoping he would shove. And he checked back. And now the queen of club peels off. And now what was top pair is now third pair. And straights got there. And flushes got there. And if people pick up draws in that spot, in his spot, they often check and take their free card, which is good poker. Anyways, he shoves, and I'm just sick. I'm sick at the run out, and I fold, and he shows deuce 7 offsuit. Okay, we weren't even playing the 7 deuce game, so that wasn't a hand I was giving a lot of weight to when I was ranging him, if you will. But he got a good run out to bluff, and yeah, it's a weird way of running bad. Like, it's not, if you make the best hand, that's not running too bad. But the run out kind of fucked me. And I just could do nothing there. I really liked my check min raise. I really liked it. I think it was the bounty. And like, it's going to get him to call with everything. And then if I check the turn, that's a spot where most people will bluff. He didn't. And then I could value bet the river, but not on jack queen run out where it comes club club. Okay, so here is another hand of significance. I'm the super button straddle. I think I'm 200 button straddle. Yeah, this game's playing fucking huge. Suited Superman opens, and Kevin LAX jams. But he's down to a nub. He's been nubbed down at this point. So I look at Suited's opening size and Kevin's jam, and I quickly calculate that Suited cannot rejam. He cannot re-raise. So I call what is like 3 big blinds with Jack 10 offsuit on the button. And Kevin is all in for the main pot, and Suited calls as well, of course. The flop goes Jack 8 deuce with 2 clubs. Suited checks. Kevin's already all in. I don't know, maybe 1,800 out there. I bet 500. I got top pair. Suited pretty quickly goes all in. And I think I'd add it on at this point. And my first instinct is call. This is a bluff. This is a semi-bluff. This is a draw. And then I do what people do when they've been running bad. They reinvent the wheel. They think too far. They think beyond their first instinct. First instinct's best. But then I thought, wait a second. This is kind of a dry side pot. People rarely bluff in dry side pots. Because you still got to beat the hand that was all in pre. So if you don't have it, you might call once and then fold on the turn, or you just fold now. And also, wait a second, he did open. Did he flop a set? Does he have an overpair? Was he trapping me with that check? I don't know, because it's a pretty fucking dry side pot, only the 500 or whatever I put in. I folded Jack 10. And he showed King 10 of clubs, so he had the draw. And Kevin LX had pocket 9s. They ran it twice, and 9s held on both. So not only did I get bluffed again, but I would have won both runouts, and I had to see it. And yeah, as a poker player, you should just focus on your decisions and not worry about the runouts. Don't be results-oriented, blah, blah, blah. But when you get to see that you would have not only doubled up from suited, but also got Kevin's nub, and you just thought too far in a hand and folded, it's tilting, especially if you got tilt issues. And Then I had another super straddle on the button. I think it was 200. Might even been 400. And there was some limpage. And I had 10-4 offsuit. It came 10-9-8 with a flush draw. They checked to me. I bet about a third of pot. I got top pair. I don't want them to get a free look at their equity. And Mr. J check raised me. Okay? And whoever else was in folded. Well, it's that dynamic where you didn't raise pre-flop, you bet the flop on 10-9-8 with a flush draw, last to act, and you're the bluffer, the lag. You're going to get check raised as a bluff, by a bluff often. And I just looked across the table at Mr. J, and the first thing that popped in my head was pair and open-ended. Pair and straight draw. Okay, well, that could be Jack 9, Jack 8, could be 9-7, 8-7. It could also be 10 in those cards, but I have a 10 and okay, I call. And the turn is an absolute brick. And he bets, and I'm looking across the table, and he's not milking me. He's unsure if he should be playing this aggressively with his holding. So I decide I beat too many hands to fold, and I can't just call here because he's committed. He has to call with anything that has equity if I jam. So I jam, he calls, he has queen 10. All right, so he had pairing and gutter, and he won the max because I flopped top pair, worst kicker. And that's another weird, you can call it overplay. It'd be an overplay in like a normal game. But when you've been running back, you just get check raised all the fucking time. And like previously I got check raised by just a pure draw, the king 10 of clubs. And it's not going great. So I just keep adding on, and I'm in for 10K. And the game has been out of the muck. I think the very first hand was a three-way all-in. It was out of the muck when we drew for the button. I have king, queen, suited Superman's favorite hand. And I squeeze, and they call. And it comes Jack 10X, and I bet about a third of pot. 2 overs and open ender. And I get check raised again by Mr. J from 300 to 700. I could just send it in, but I decided to call. And the turn's a queen. And now I have top pair, open ender, and we get it in. And he has Jack 10. He flopped 2 pair. Run it twice, he scoops. That's it. That's the session. I lost a $10,000 car, a fucking nice Mazda or something. And so Cal Worthington's going to be pissed, and I'm going to be tilted. Extremely tilted, pathetically tilted, embarrassingly tilted. But that's also the story. And if you want to know what happens next in the story, where should they go, sound guy? I'll tell them. Patreon.com/DGAF poker player. Got to check the goals. First goal, 50-50 tilt. Yep. I want to only tilt in half my sessions. And I have 7 non-tilted sessions and 10 tilted sessions. And some of these are weeks. I used to do it by week. Lately, I've only been playing once per week. I hope to change that soon. But yeah, this one is definitely a tilted session. So 7 and 10, I'm losing that one. I want to get out of makeup this year. I started $61,810 in makeup. I'm now $90,020 in makeup. Going the wrong way. It could change at any moment, but it doesn't feel like it. It just, poker hasn't been relaxing in so long. I haven't had any of those sessions where you just have a stack and it's easy and you're playing carefree and you're going to your first decision. I mean, I did once in a very small game, a 2-3 game. So a lot of work to do there. And my last goal is 230. I want to weigh 230 or less by the end of the year. I started at 247.3. Last week I was at 228.6. This week 228.7. So didn't lose any weight in the week, but still beating the goal. And I guess you got to look for a silver lining And that's it, is that I am shedding pounds, or I'm meeting my weight goal. I have a long way to go. When you're younger, I don't think it matters too much. I'm 51 now, and I got to be there for people for a long time. So I'm going to try and avoid, diabetes, heart disease, stuff that comes with fucking weighing too much. So I guess that's good. And anyways, until next time, peace.